So I want to talk about why I identify as agnostic and not atheist or uh, deist or theist. So atheist means you don't think there's a supernatural thing or whatever. You don't think there's a God. You think, you know, creation was a naturalistic process, no conscious involvement. So that's atheist. And then you say that life came from, abiogenesis, life came from non-life. So the deist and the theist, okay, they say that there was a creator, like consciousness and stuff like that created the universe, and there's maybe like a creator that's like controlling things or like overseeing things, like stuff like that. I want to talk about what I identify as an agnostic, and why like how you can have honest intellectual discussions with deists and theists and atheists, and you can see if like they're being arrogant or something. Like I've had conversations with both kinds of people. Okay, I'm talking about people that aren't aligning with any of these made up religions, that are just like, look, this stuff out there is made up, but we think this is true. So I can't really explain the absence of a conscious creator. And like when you talk about biogenesis, like how did conscious beings arise from unconscious stuff, unconscious matter? Okay, so I can't really explain that stuff like with certainty. So I just say I'm agnostic. So the atheist, if you start to talk to them about that kind of stuff, like how do you know that abiogenesis is possible? Like how do you know we came from non-living stuff? How do you know there wasn't some sort of consciousness that created everything, including our ancestors and all that stuff, like all the way back to the origins of life and stuff? So what they say would be the origin of life, but there would be an origin before that. So like asking them questions like that, about was there a conscious creator? Why are you certain about abiogenesis? How did consciousness arise? Like you're saying, like what differentiates you from like your environment? Like what can you define consciousness, like how it arose, like how it arose, like you know what I mean? Like how was that created? And is it a result of a naturalistic process, like, or was it created by another conscious being? Like, can you explain that? So when you get into those discussions with atheists, they might start to get arrogant, they might start to get frustrated, they might start to try to ostracize and oppress you and stuff. Okay, they're not always kind. So if they start saying, well, I can't explain these things, and I'm saying I believe this stuff with certainty, so now I have to fall back into his position, the agnostic position, and like, and then they might start to get like greedy and selfish and stupid like that. Like they don't want to say you were right, and they want to try to do dumb stuff like that. So the atheists can be arrogant like that. If they can't explain why they're atheists, like, if they would explain something to me and I would comprehend it and all that stuff, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I identify with you. But I haven't been able to like rationalize that stuff. So then when you go to the theist and the deist, well, they are the ones that made this nation. Okay, the Freemasons, like they had like a really large influence on making the United States. And the Freemasons are they ostracize atheists. So and it's a similar concept. Like the theist and the deist, like, can you explain why you're so certain that there has to be a conscious creator? can you explain how you know that there's a conscious creator manipulating things and like overseeing things? Like, so like there might be a Freemason theist that ostracizes an atheist, you know, but they participate in the same kind of logical fallacy as the atheist where they can't explain themselves. So like they're ostracizing someone else when they themselves can't explain the same concept. Like so when it comes to the theist and the deist, same kind of thing. I haven't been able to rationalize the stuff that they've tried to say, and like it doesn't. So as far as like being certain of a conscious creator, or being certain that there wasn't one and it was naturalistic, you know, you start thinking about things like pantheism, you know, stuff like that. Like what defines consciousness is like, I thought about things like we have cells in our body, you know, so are we kind of like a cell of a greater structure? Like what's going on, you know, like, but yeah, I just, I couldn't, I can't rationalize either side. So I just, you know, I'm in the middle. I'm not agnostic because I can't choose between these man-made religions. Okay, I know those are false, and a lot of them are terrorists or terrorist sympathizers. So I'm not saying I'm agnostic because I can't choose between like Christianity and Judaism or something. Like, it's not that. I got that stuff eliminated. It's the like theism and atheism and stuff. So so I'm going to go into the Christianity, and I'm going to provide the details about what's horrible about it, stuff like that. I just wanted to make this, so I just wanted to make this video so you can, like, if you're interacting with a Freemason or you're interacting with an atheist, you can, like, see if they're being arrogant or if they can actually explain themselves, and, like, you can see things that you can address. So, like, if they are being, like, mean and falsely accusatory and trying to ostracize people and, you know, like, selfish and greedy like that, or if they can actually explain themselves and they're trying to reach out and stuff like that. So,